human rights issues, violence against women, and so on.
And she also mentioned, this is Penny Williams in her speech, that the penalties need for abuse and domestic violence need to be looked at. Do you think that that's also part of the solution?
Oh yes, definitely. We've always said, and she has endorsed it. But in some of our countries, we have got penalties that reflect the seriousness of the crime. But what's happened is the courts, the of it, actually, when it goes to court, what happens there, particularly against women and girls, the lack of seriousness with which it is taken. So that's the problematic areas, because everyone has to be on the same page. If you have good progressive legislation around the issue, then you have to ensure that the people who are going to carry out, law enforcement and justice and so on, are on the same page. They know the law and they are trained to carry out what is in the legislation.
And what are some of the outcomes you'd like to see from this meeting in Mandy at the moment?
Well, we are going to we're looking at what we had resolved 4 years ago and what the developments have been. But I think we are going to concentrate on legislation and strategizing around lobbying and advocacy for progressive legislation in other countries where there isn't any. There are some countries, there are different levels. Countries are levels development in this area. Of course, Fiji, Vanuatu is quite well ahead, but there are other countries that need a lot of support.
Okay, Shamim Ali, we'll have to end it there because we've got news now. Shamim Ali, and now here is Kathy Harper with the news.
It's 2000 Universal Time on Monday, 6 a.m. in Port Moresby and 7 a.m. in Honiara. You're listening to Radio Australia. Radio Australia News, I'm Kathy Harper. The headlines. The Catholic Church in Australia vows to cooperate with a wide-ranging inquiry into child sexual abuse and concern over European rugby clubs offering incentives to Pacific players to stop them representing their own country. The Catholic Church in Australia has vowed to cooperate fully with the Royal Commission into Child Sexual Abuse announced by the Prime Minister yesterday. The Church says mistakes were made, but it has nothing to fear from it. Jean Kennedy